Yeah. So anyway, I have a question. Like, so when
Will
you're,
do.
making the files available to everybody, or rather more people, I would just like to request that I don't know, give it to me because I work for Rebel News, and I think we could do a tremendous job covering this as much as anybody else. Really, yeah.
So,
But it's me.
so Tim Cass is trying to come up, by the way, Elon, just to ask you a question. But in the meantime, I just want to go back, and I know that Persistence has a question as well. I'll give you the mic right after Persistence. But one question again, back to the advertisers, Elon. Not sure if you heard it before. Any progress there with the advertisers that stopped advertising on Twitter, which we all agree is just not right, and any other strategies to bring revenue outside of advertising? You're muted, Elon.
Yeah, so so Apple has fully resumed advertising, which is appreciated. Apple is the single biggest advertiser on Twitter, and historically and presently. So, thanks Apple for fully resuming advertising. And I think we're seeing we are starting to see a lot of other advertisers also resume their spending. I think the problem is that they would read all these stories in the media and then think that they were true, and they're not true. And then as it's becoming clear that the media stories about Twitter being some sort of like right-wing hellscape, which it absolutely isn't. Um, and in fact, it is. There are far fewer bots, far fewer trolls, and it's actually, I think, way more fun and interesting. And we're seeing that in the user minutes and in the daily average users. Then advertisers are like, oh, okay, I guess maybe it is safe to get back in the water, and so we are seeing advertisers resume advertising on Twitter. So that's a good sign. I wish it would be faster, but we are seeing them resume. The more concerning factor on the advertising front is just the entire industry wide drop in advertising, which Twitter is not immune from. So even though advertisers do get back on, the advertising expenditures in general are dropping for all companies. And so it is imperative that Twitter have an alternate revenue source, hence the subscriber revenue, which is just very important for both of just the survival and for of Twitter, and to reduce its dependence on advertisers. So yeah, overall, I think I'm cautiously optimistic about the future. Um, yeah, so
And
yeah,
I wanna
yeah.
I'll add one point of credit. Like I have no stance. I have nothing against the old executives at Twitter, etc. But very objectively speaking, what you've done in a month, and again that's purely being objective, what you've done in a month is fucking insane. The amount of progress that you've had and where Twitter is at now in such a short period of time. So not that you need more credit because you're getting a lot here, but I just want to add to it as well. I'll give the mic to the Persistence who's been waiting for a while, and then Spike. Go ahead, Persistence.
Well, thank you, Elon, for making this a popular social media. My question is, do we have any information on advertisers threatening to pull money from Twitter if Twitter did not adhere to a policy? And additionally, do we have any information on congressmen or women who have threatened legislation should Twitter not adhere to a certain policy? And last, I was really intrigued by your comment on positivity and negativity in tweets, you saying that positive tweets would go further. And I just wanted to see what would constitute the measurement from Twitter that would make something positive or negative. Thank you.
You're muted, Elon. Oh, you're back.
Yeah, sure. Well, the advertisers, I mean, for the most part, the advertisers are quite rational in that, if you, especially if you're advertising a family friendly product, that you don't want to be sort of, like let's say you're advertising a Disney movie, you don't want to have like some super negative sort of hate speech, or to the and also a movie or whatever. And you also they don't want to have not safe for work content right next to ads for children toys and stuff like that. So that stuff is quite reasonable, and and I agree with, that you know, advertisers have a right to have their advertising be next to non-advertising content that is consistent with their brand. Um, so that really just means like, what is not attempting to monetize with advertising content that advertisers are uncomfortable with. Um, so I think in general it's been okay. I mean, I think there has been some overzealous action by activist groups that pressure the advertisers, that then in turn pressure Twitter, um, and we're trying to sort of, that I thought was somewhat unreasonable, but I think it's going to trend in a good direction going forward, but I'm not sure, but it looks like it's headed in a good direction. Like I said, advertisers are returning to Twitter. Apple's back at full ad spend, and I've had a number of conversations with the advertiser groups, and every time I've had those conversations, the advertisers have responded positively, and I've also just, because they're like, I mean, they're basically they end up reading the sort of mainstream media, and it's like, you know. And then they end up with all the wrong impressions of what's going on. And I said, well, have you tried using Twitter? Do you see these things for yourself? And they're like, actually, it seems fine when we use Twitter. Like, yes, that's because it is fine. And so then, and then I also tell them, like, look, as we try to grow Twitter's user base, if a new user comes on Twitter and then is immediately attacked by trolls and dumped on, they're going to want to leave. So, because who wants to go? It's like going into a party or something, and everyone just starts yelling at you. You're going to want to leave that party. So, Twitter does need to be a more welcoming environment for new users, and so the incentives are actually aligned. That if people come on and they see interesting, funny tweets, things that where they learn something new, or it's entertaining, it's funny, it's like, that's the kind of thing that we should see more of, and that's consistent with what most advertisers want, I think, and what Twitter wants in order to grow the user base, and then just generally over time, it's like kind of, people can be, I think, to some degree, choose what sort of experience they like. Just like you can choose a radio station. Like, some people want to listen to sort of smooth jazz, easy listening, or they may want to go to, pop music, or they want to go to heavy metal thrash, and to each their own. Or if this was, do you want to have like full contact martial arts, or do you want to have, light contact, or do you want to do yoga? And you can decide which one of those, what kind of experience you want. That's going to be important in order to have Twitter appeal to a broad audience. So that's the rough game plan.